Good evening and welcome to the SMRC's final Winter Cup instalment from Knockhill on the International Circuit. Clockwise, normal direction. A series by the SMRC, powered by Reese Motorsport Insurance and presented by Sim Broadcast as ever, with Pete and Mo Diggory back at base. Duncan, Vincent here in the virtual bedroom commentary box, joined by Andy Alston, thankfully not in my virtual bedroom commentary box, but in his own virtual bedroom comedy box. We will be bringing you all the action tonight. And as you can see, we have got the final in front of us here. Legends tonight. We've had the Volkswagen Jettas, the Global MX-5. We had the Skip Barbers last week, which were sensational. And we finish on the Legends. Andy Alston, welcome to our final instalment. And I hope we get asked back because the racing's been fabulous. And I'm enjoying it. I hope you are, mate. How's things?
Oh, it's great to be back, and the event in the Skip Barbers last week was absolutely terrific. 3 fantastic races, and I think we're in for a great finale here in the Winter Cup tonight, because we know that the Legends cars and Knockhill make for a great combination in the real world, so I've got no doubt that we're in for more of the same here on iRacing tonight.
We certainly are. Qualifying is underway in the background just now. We can see the weather as ever. Looks terrific. Thank you very much to iRacing. And I got to say, the circuit looks sensational as well. Knockhill really has come up very well on the gameplay. The car we can see in the background just now is John Higgins Jr. And there's a story behind the paintwork, isn't there? There always is. But this man has got legend racing in the blood. His dad is a former Legends world champion and national champion, John Higgins himself. John Higgins. And this car, well, a car very similar to this, I actually managed to race, I think it was back in 2000 or 2001, many, many years ago. Junior is setting his sights very high tonight. He's putting a bit of pressure on himself with this paint job as well. But the traditional stars and stripes, these are American cars, basically. We've got to say that. They're 5/8 scale American hot rods. They're based on the 34 Ford Coupe. They used to have the 1200cc Yamaha FG engine. They now have the 1250, the XGR engine in them. Good engines, they're trusty, they do a lot of work, they get revved very hard, but overall the format that 600 Racing and NX put together make these cars great fun up and down the country and the world over as well. One day I would love to race one on one of the ovals that they have in America. I think they do look pretty sensational. But yep, young Junior carrying the stars and stripes. He's got a lot of pressure on himself putting that livery on Andy Alston, but it does look far and away the best we've seen so far tonight.
Yeah, he's Junior's certainly one worth keeping an eye on here. Another one, of course, is this man here, Fraser Williamson, the 369 car, currently with a 65-point gap at the top of the standings. So it's only really Michael Weddle that can stop Williamson from lifting the Winter Cup. He is currently on pole position with a 56.1. We have seen drivers go in the high 55s, so Fraser Williamson just improving on that time ever so slightly. He's currently on, he's done 2 laps. Drivers are allowed a maximum of 4 timed laps in qualifying for our SMRC events. But Fraser Williamson still leading the way by 1/10 of a second. Michael McPherson just posted a very quick time there as well, 56.3, to put him in 4th. And Duncan, Michael McPherson is a driver that we know has got bags of pace in the real world, and he's shown that in iRacing, and I'm absolutely sure he'll be keen to also go out on a high here tonight.
Yeah, Michael McPherson is a class act in Formula 4s and other racing series. Here we see him in this. We're not going to miss him tonight, put it that way. He could be anywhere in the circuit and we will still find him, put him at the top of the hill, and that car will stand out. And that's what we like as a commentary team. We like to see nice, bright cars. So Michael McPherson, the young man, classy Formula 4 racer in the 1600 Kent series, currently in 4th position. But as Andy Alston says, 4 laps isn't a lot, and it's very easy to pick up a misdemeanor on one of your laps. Possibly you could do an off track, you could lose time. You never know what's going to happen out there in qualifying, and you don't want to make a mess. But there we go. Let's have a little jump inside one of these cars now. And in fact, we won't bother. We'll have a little look at the championship positions. Sorry, Andy was talking about those positions. It's Williamson from Weddle. And as Andy Alston said, he rightfully pointed out, it's going to take, well, Michael Weddle needs an earthquake for something to go wrong with Fraser Williamson. Fraser has been so consistent, so fast in absolutely everything we've seen, Andy. And you have kind of tipped him for the championship. But Michael Weddle, flying, will be delighted to hear that, of course. But Jack Eyre currently sits in 3rd place. Scott Smith, the garage mechanic for Knockhill, fourth. And rounding out the top 5, another Rethink driver is Adam Brown. Now, what we also need your help and input for tonight, the guys at Sim Broadcasts and us in the commentary boxes, we need to know who the Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day will be. Myself and Andy Alston have ruined a lot of people's evenings by having a chat off air about this in between the second and third race, and it's almost like we just have a curse on them. So if you're in the chats, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch or Facebook, please drop a note in, not right now because they haven't raced, as the racing goes on, who you think should be the Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day. We will try and keep a good eye all the way down through the field. We look for good drives, look for people who sometimes are maybe punching a little bit above their weight, but also it was hard not to give it to Gordy much last weekend. Last week, I should say, Andy. He was sensational, and it was great to have Gordy around.
Yeah, absolutely. Gordy was terrific. Another driver, very quick in the real world, but also in the virtual environment as well. Of course, drives for Romain Grosjean's eSports team. It was some great battling between Gordy, Fraser Williams, and Michael Weddle as well. I thought the Skippies last week were a great combination here at Knockhill. Very, very popular car, of course, in the iRacing service. In any event, some fantastic action, not just at the front, of course, but all the way through the field as well.
So we have got an onboard lap. I tried to cue this up earlier on and I completely got it wrong. It was the championship standing. So now let's jump inside one of these legends as we come down towards the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge in towards Duffy's Dip. This is Jack Air. Now just watch this. This is virtual headset as well. So the VR headset, let's try not to have you jumping out your seat, but this is just how busy you actually get for real in a legend. Trust me, these little cars, they're great to drive in Knockhill. It's like they're almost made for Knockhill Racing Circuit. The chicane is as blind as you like, and you've got to take as much curb as you possibly can through there up to Clark. This is possibly the most important corner in the circuit. Do not make a mess on the exit here, otherwise they will draft up behind you and pass you in towards the hairpin. But you'll see lots of drivers hitting that inside white line about now to try and defend their position in towards the hairpin. But Jack, smooth as you like. Jack attack at the hairpin here. Watch the apex. He gets in, jumps in the light pedal, big bit of oversteer which you can drive through the corner, out up the exit curb, and he did a 55.9 second lap, which was it's not hanging about, put it that way, but that's what it's like to drive a legend around Knockhill. It really is that quick. So a lot of the drivers have completed their 4 laps, and it's Fraser Williamson who sits at the top of the times, the 55.8 from Ronald Grossman. He's just 1/10 of a second off the back. Michael Weddle in the same 1/10 of a second as Grossman, with Adam Brown, Jack Air, John Higgins Jr. is 6th. Michael McPherson, Del Smith, Scott Smith, and James Warrior in 10th place. Del Smith with a good showing in 8th place just now, ahead of Scott Smith, who was glued together with Ryan Smith on last Wednesday. So Scott Smith likes to be beside a Smith or two. And Ryan Smith certainly showed us some brilliant racing last week, and announced his plans midweek as well, Andy. I believe that or was it you that announced them, that he's going to be in a Mini Cooper coming up for Minimax this coming season?
Yeah, it's always good to have some new faces in any other championships, and I think the Minis, we know it's a very, very competitive championship in the SMRC. Some fantastic racing throughout the field also in that championship. It's one that you've got to be in, and you've got to be in with full commitment. Yeah, it's very, very close, hard but fair racing in the Minis, and looking forward to seeing how he gets on there as well. Of course, our current man top of the timesheets here at the moment, Fraser Williamson, will be going from virtual to reality. He will be behind the wheel of a Scottish C1, making his debut in that championship. So you know how quick Fraser is in iRacing, and he'll be certainly one worth keeping an eye on in 2022. And this is a good thing about this championship as well, Duncan, is we've seen a number of the drivers go from iRacing and go into real world motorsport, and that is just a testament to the success of this whole initiative. You know, there's a number of drivers throughout the field there who do compete in the real world, or perhaps making steps towards perhaps doing the getting the racing license and going out there on the track for real. So it's great if you've got the pace in the virtual world, but if you're able to do it in the real world as well, and you fancy getting involved, then this is a great way just to cut your teeth and get some close racing here on the iRacing service, and perhaps even go into reality as well.
And we've seen it work the other way as well. Jordan Grodkowski's gone from from real racing to virtual. So he's decided that enough of the up and down the country for him. He's bought himself a sim rig and he sits in his house now. And hopefully we'll see Jordan get involved in a few more of the SMRC things if they do any more of these throughout the year. It's a bit quiet on the front just now. We need to just start a petition and get Michael Weddle fired up and see what we can do. But the guys behind the scenes, Andy, we've got the easy job about this, talking about it. The guys behind the scenes have been pretty much flat out all the way through the year, even through the Christmas break as well. But that is the end of qualifying. Everybody has completed their laps, and it's the Movano Corsa driver, once again, Fraser Williamson, number 369, with a 55.821, puts himself onto pole position from Ronald Grossman, Peter Mackay's very good close friend, and Michael Weddle, with Adam Brown, Jack Eyre rounding out the top 5. We'll give you the grid in a minute or two when they all come up on the screen. But, well, strap yourself in tight. This is going to be a good night as we see the Beatson's Building Supplies bridge there. And there's a story about that as well. John Marshall, Beatson's himself, well, he used to race Legends. So there's a lot of drivers in Scotland that have come through Legends and had a good bit of fun here. Now, you may be wondering, why is there a 4x4 on the grid? That's because we have a rolling start. This is another completely new thing for us tonight. I haven't commentated on a rolling start in iRacing yet. I've done many of these for the real world. But this should be pretty interesting just to see how this unfolds. And Andy, let's hope everybody gets it correct. Do the drivers, Andy, have to do anything different from the rolling start, from the standing start?
Well, it's about the big thing in iRacing is getting your tyres up to temperature. And we saw that last week in the Skippies. It took the drivers a couple of laps just to get the car in the right operating window. It's no different here in the Legends. It's just about really getting as much heat as possible as you can into the tyres, into the brakes as well. And just really, for Fraser Williamson at the front, it's about setting the pace and just getting a nice, clean exit out of the hairpin and really trying to leave the trailing pack a good bit down the road. But Ronald Grossman, I have to say, currently alongside him in the front row, a very impressive time there. Car number 90, the blue and white car on the outside, I think is one worth keeping an eye on here. A driver, again, that we know has got plenty of pace, and that's a very impressive time that he's posted out there in qualifying.
He has that, and we've yet to see the true star potential of Ronald come to the front. Let's see how he gets on tonight. He's been a late addition. I think if he joined us round about Hockenheim, if I'm not mistaken. Was it in a Formula Renault? Jog my memory. I think I'm possibly right there, but we'll see how he gets on tonight. Anyway, this is the rolling start lap, and well, for real, when you're in the Legend, this is where you're trying to heat the brakes up, which is a big thing, and the tyres. Not weaving from side to side too much, but brake temperature is something that I used to always struggle with quite a lot. The type of pad that the car runs can be quite hard, and you've got to get them well and truly working before you try and jump on that pedal. Legends, when you look at them inside the cockpit, they're very strange. They actually have 4 pedals. The brake pedal is cut into 2 because actually when you push it, it goes between the steering column, which goes right down through the middle of it. So it's great for left foot braking, though, something I'm very keen on. So let's see if they get on here as they make their way around towards the hairpin. That is everybody in formation, and that's possibly one of the best looking formations I've seen in Legends in years, because the guys that race them just now, well, they're a little bit scared of coming in there, but they do all group up coming out of the hairpin. And here we go. It's Fraser Williamson who holds them at a set RPM up towards the lights. Wait for the lights to all come on. Will we get a full bank and lights out? Lights are... We've gone green straight away, and Williamson leads away underneath the bridge down towards Duffus for the first time. Grossman's under attack from Weddle. Weddle looking up the inside, but Grossman looks like he's going to cut across the front and take that. He does. Everybody else manages to filter through. We have heard some stories that the cars are pretty tricky, and off at the back there's a few cars disappearing down the grass there. We'll get them back on at the entrance to McIntyre's, but through the chicane, 1, 2 and 3 is Williamson. Round goes. Who's that? Adam Brown, somebody else off there into the tyre. Well, that's Knockhill's very own Scott Smith into the banking, but unfortunately for those guys it's done. But round towards the hairpin, Williamson and Grossman with a huge lead over number 7 Michael Weddle for the first time of asking, Andy.
Yeah, but make no mistake about it, these Legends cars are very, very tricky to drive on iRacing. The rear of the car gets very light, and a number of the drivers finding that out the hard way, unfortunately, in the opening lap. A little bit of side-by-side action there, just further back, both cars bumping wheels, but managing to come through unscathed. The 91 car there of Mark Heron just leading away from a train of cars behind. But look at that, we've got the 39 of Hayden Smart driving up the inside of Robert McGregor going into Duffus. It looks like Smart has managed to hold on to 10th place at the moment. But back at the front, Fraser Williamson with a gap of 0.3 of a second from Ronald Grossman, who's continuing to pile on the pressure here. Very good start to the race for Ronald Grossman, but I have to say, Duncan, the getaway from the green lights from Fraser Williamson, we've seen it time and time again across a number of different cars. Fraser Williamson is so quick when the lights go out, and he is once again used that to his advantage.
Yeah, he's not getting away from Ronald here. It was a cracking start from Fraser, but this is great from Ronald Grossman, giving us a great view of the Movano Corsa driver in towards the hairpin. Grossman has a nice comfortable lead over Michael Weddle. Round about 2.1 seconds is the gap back. Then Jack Eyre, Michael McPherson, John Higgins Jr. is currently in 6th in the Stars and Stripe cars. There's Mikey Weddle as he goes through, and you can see very similar teammate colours to Jack Eyre. Was Weddle in trouble there? Big shake of the car for Weddle as he went just out of my view, but Michael, pro city, there he's joining just as they go down through Butcher. So Mikey Weddle goes off at Leslie's, and we'll get a replay of that one, cut straight across the grass. Just watch this as he comes over the top, too much curb, big sideways moment, and off he goes. I just saw that happening at the corner of my, and that's a standard Michael Weddle route actually when he's in the Mini. That's why his nickname is Flymo. He rejoins at Butcher's, but Weddle, down he goes to P, where's he joined the back in there actually? He's in P7, car 7 in P7. Williamson, Grossman and Eyre at the front of Jack Eyre had a bird's eye view, or a perfect grandstand view, sorry, of Michael Weddle making that mistake. And it just shows you, as Andy Alston says, these cars are very, very tricky as a car goes round in a ball of smoke at the hairpin exit there. Very easy to do. So, Andy, have you driven one of these cars? Can you give us a little bit more input than what the drivers are giving right now?
They're cars where you can take quite a lot of curb here, which is what we're seeing here at Duffus in particular. They are quite forgiving on the curbs. That being said, you've got to be so gentle on the throttle. If you really just stamp down on the loud pedal, you'll know all about it, because the car will really fight you along the way. Yes, they're fun to drive because you can correct them when the rear of the car gets loose and all the rest of it. But as we know, that's not necessarily the quickest way, as James Warrior has found out the hard way there, because James McIntosh in the 436 has gone side by side and has already made the move into the hairpin. So it's all about trying to be as smooth as possible with these cars, but sometimes that's easier said than done.
Sean Dobie round towards the hairpin in 159, 21st position. We do need to try and get a look at number 117, Robert McGregor, in 10th place. The back of his car allegedly has a picture of John Higgins himself, the former world champion, on the boot. There he is there, the green car. That's the U Pullet design car, which John raced when he was under U Pullet, and eventually I think it went to Coupe as well. But yeah, I've had a set of those, I've had a set of the race suits of John. There we go. That's not a pretty sight. That is what we would call a fire guard. That would certainly keep the kids away from burning themselves in an open log fire, that's for sure. As they come up the back straight, what a perfect bit of a bump drafting we're hopefully not going to see going into Clark's here. But Robert McGregor obviously giving a bit of kudos, a tip of the hat to John Higgins, who has done so many great things in a legend. But we're back at hairpin now with our leaders. It's Fraser Williamson in 369, and he is not getting away from Ronald Grossman. 0.2 of a second is the lead as he comes over the crest of the hill to start lap number 6, 4 minutes into the race. Andy Alston, we've seen Fraser soak up this pressure so many times. We know he can deal with it. When the boot's on the other foot, though, Fraser is more than happy to follow as well. Do you think Grossman's playing him at his own game just now?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because Ronald was certainly matching him in terms of outright pace. In fact, he was ever so slightly quicker than Williamson on the last lap. Ronald's a driver who will be, I suspect, just biding his time here, waiting to pick his moment to strike. And with us over a third of the way gone in this race, it's still very much all to play for. Just a little bit further back there, Robert McGregor just got it wrong coming out the chicane, and that's put Kieran Smart really hot on his heels. Smart again gets a very good drive out of Clark. McGregor once more getting it wrong. Unfortunately, that is bringing Kieran Smart side by side here as they go into the hairpin. Will Kieran Smart be able to outbrake McGregor? They exchange places before they reach the corner, and Kieran Smart makes the move, and he is up into 10th place. Robert McGregor, though, again, has got a good exit there out of the hairpin, decides to go side by side early, opts not to use the slipstream. He is, however, crucially on the outside, so surely Kieran Smart will have that move covered. But we've got Ethan Gardner, Dale Smith, Mikey Johnson just a little bit further back as well. All very much keen and looking to get involved. A little bit of contact there between Smart and McGregor going into Duffus, but Kieran Smart once more holding on to 10th place in this race.
Robert
just
McGregor.
About, however, look at that. The car dancing on exit there into McIntyre, but great bit of action here. But look at that now, Duncan. It's bringing in Ethan Gardner. We mentioned him just a moment ago before they went into Duffus. That's how close the racing is in these legends. If you put a foot wrong, there's a car on you before you know it.
Well, Robert McGregor's got his elbows out tonight, hasn't he? He's feeling a little bit feisty in 11th place just now. But you hit the nail on the head. It's bringing Ethan Gardner right back into this one. Robert done the right thing. He let Kieran Smart go at the hairpin last time round, and I thought he was getting a better drive out the hairpin. As you can see, McGregor sucking up in the slipstream there, and Kieran Smart just pulls himself into the middle of the road as we've got a great view from Ethan Gardner. Something's about to happen, that's for sure, because Robert McGregor's on screen. We just don't know what's going to happen, as you can hear the car, a little lift going over the crest of Duffus Dip there, as they do like the curb, that's for sure. But we've seen so many people light up those back wheels and get a bit too excited. Now, Junior's coming under pressure from Michael Weddle. 5th place for Junior, 6th place for Weddle. This is a better showing from John Higgins Jr. We've seen so many times great flashes of brilliance, and then something goes wrong. He needs to get 3 solid results, or at least 2 solid results, and then push like mad in the last race of the day.
Yeah, he certainly does. Junior has 2 third-place finishes under his belt in the Winter Cup, and more than capable of being back on the podium here once more tonight. But Michael Weddle looking to put him under a little bit of pressure here. Will Weddle make a late move here? Opts to just sit and bide his time for the moment. So John Higgins Jr. still in 5th place. Weddle hot on his heels. However, one thing I have just noticed over the last lap or so is Ronald Grossman has fallen back from Fraser Williamson. He was 8/10 off him, and Fraser Williamson has indeed just posted the fastest lap of anyone last time out with a 55.9. Ronald Grossman with a 56.3. So Ronald Grossman's just had a slow couple of laps, and that has allowed Fraser Williamson to pull out a lead of around 2 seconds, with Jack Eyre, Michael McPherson, John Higgins Jr., as we've just mentioned, and Weddle all now beginning to gradually reel in the 2 cars at the lead.
After being in the tyre wall in lap 1, Scott Smith finds himself in 16th place in car number 82. He's chasing Owen Ross, but Scott won't be happy with that one. He really was looking forward to the legend. He's got another 2 races to go after this, and he will be racing one of these for real this coming year, as Weddle makes the manoeuvre at Duffus Dip and slides himself past Junior. Junior not wanting to fight that too much. Realise that Weddle has got a bit of pace here, and can he hang on to the back of Flymo, and will that drag them up towards Michael McPherson, who seems to be with Jack Eyre, but almost in a little bit of no man's land, those 2 guys. But Ronald Grossman certainly has made a few errors on the last couple of laps. We haven't seen them on screen, but the timing screens are screaming all sorts of stories that we could make up. But we won't say that. We'll just let you know that Grossman has fallen off the back by now, what, with 2.1 seconds in the rear of Fraser Williamson, number 369. About half a second a lap is what Mo Diggory is telling us back in base here, as somebody decides to straight line the chicane behind Michael Johnson. One of the yellow cars. Was that Ryan Smith by any chance? Smith usually decks himself out in yellow. Car number 86, Jonathan Glover, and somebody else off at the exit of Clark's on the inside. So, well, a fairly high rate of attrition starting to kick in now, Andy Alston's. We're on lap 11. We're 9 minutes into this 50-minute race. Race number 1 still led by Fraser Williamson, from Ronald Grossman, and Jack Eyre rounds out the podium as we are at this point in the race.
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma for the drivers, particularly in the midfield here, because in an ideal world in these Legends cars, you would be looking to bump draft, you would be looking to utilise the slipstream and work together. But in a 15-minute race where it's a 55, 56 second lap, you don't really have the time to do that. You've just got to get the move done and get on with things. So Michael McPherson got a 3-second gap on Michael Weddle. If Weddle and Higgins were to work together, they could really begin to reel in the cars in front, but it's not so easy to do that. All the meanwhile, we've got almost 3 wide going into the hairpin there. We've got the 86 of Ethan Gardner in 10th place. Adam Brown, Robert McGregor, the green car just going ever so loose on the exit of the hairpin, and that has seriously compromised McGregor here, because Dale Smith will begin to reel him in here. But yes, we've got the 16 of Brown and Gardner exchanging places going into Duffus, and Adam Brown makes the move stick and goes into 10th place. So it is Brown from Gardner, Robert McGregor in the green car, just looking to try and reel those 2 in. But back at the front, Fraser Williamson now 3.1 seconds ahead of Ronald Grossman. But there is Jack Eyre and Michael McPherson in the green car. Just further down the road is Weddle and Higgins. So 4 and a bit minutes left to go in this race. And Fraser Williamson certainly in the prime position at the moment. But as we well know, in these legends, anything can happen in such a short space of time.
I think we need to follow Robert McGregor for a few more corners just to find out if he's going to manage to survive the hairpin. It was in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and he tags the back of, was that Dale Smith? It was Ethan Gardner. He tagged the back there. And I'm saying tag, that was more like a massive wallop or thud from Robert. We'll get a replay of that from the guys back at base here. Too hot into the corner from Robert McGregor, straight into the pit lane to repair damage. And let's pick this up now. Look how far back he is as he comes in towards the hairpin. So a rush of blood to the brain cell for Robert McGregor. Let's see this. Oh, he won't be happy with that. He will be beating himself up about that, but not as much as Ethan Gardner would like to beat him up right now as he gets away from the apex of the hairpin. But yeah, back out after running repairs. The guys at Burnout Motorsport would have thrown a new bumper or two on the front of that, and he will be away. But Williamson, as Andy Alston rightfully pointed out, 3.7 seconds to the good now from Ronald Grossman. This is the best result we've seen for Ronald Grossman, but Grossman is starting to fall the wrong way. And if Jack Eyre can keep this going as we go into lap 14, Jack Eyre is possibly in for a second place here.
He is. Ronald Grossman is looking to try and hold on to a podium position here, because if he can do just that, it would be his first podium in the Winter Cup. But Jack Eyre, Michael McPherson, Michael Weddle will all have something to say about that. So a couple of laps left to go in the opener, and that is certainly one story worth keeping an eye on. But just further back here, Michael Johnston, the 52 yellow car, looking to put a bit of pressure here on Cameron Bryden, car number 5 again. We know Cameron's a very quick driver, but coming under a little bit of pressure here from Michael Johnson. Ryan Smith in the 94 also looking to get involved in that scrap as well. But yeah, there's been some interesting fights throughout the field here, but a couple of drivers who have really come off worse for wear as well and gone well down the order. And Duncan, as we know, if things go wrong in the first race in any of these SMRC events, you've really got it all to do after that, and it's just about trying to make your way back through the field and do almost a bit of a recovery drive, if nothing else.
100%, Andy, you hit the nail on the head there. We've seen it go wrong for so many people in race 1. And the comeback is there on it, and your numbers look great because you make up so many positions, but that's really not what it's all about, is it? As we see Junior going through McIntyre's just now. Legends, well, if you fancy getting involved, check them out. They have got a Scottish Legends Facebook page. These guys do race up and down the country, all over the world, and if you fancy getting involved, you can do that. Great racing, great fun little cars to drive. Really get yourself behind the wheel of a legend and you will not regret it. Jack Eyre, though, well, I said that he might be on for second place. He isn't reeling him in just now, as this is Ryan Smith, as we see going down there. Ryan Smith and Michael Johnson as well. And let's pick back up on Cameron Bryden for a minute in car number 5. Cameron, only 16, 17 years old, I believe. Very, very young. His dad, Paul Bryden, who races a Solution F BMW in the Mod Sports, the X Sports and Saloons. Lovely guy. Runs a good garage as well, but also a very, very classy driver. And Cameron Bryden will be coming to the big circuit come March and April. As just ahead of him, Ryan Smith, who, well, Ryan's not showing as well in the legend, but I see he's now a Rethink driver as well. So he's been signed up over the past week or two as he gets a little bit sideways in, and round he goes. Round he goes. Now, was he helped there, Andy, or has that car got a bit of damage? Is he carrying a bit of damage?
Certainly looks like a bit of damage here, and he just opts not to go into the pit lane at this point in the race because 14 minutes and almost 15 on the clock. This will be the last lap. So here comes Fraser Williamson. The checkered flag is out, and Fraser Williamson will take the win in the first race here in the Legends. It is Ronald Grossman who will take his first podium in the Winter Cup to come home in second place. Jack Eyre rounding out the final step of the podium. It's McPherson, Weddle, John Higgins Jr. in 6th, and James McIntosh in 7th. After a good scrap between him and James Warrior, Adam Brown and Mark Heron rounding out the top 10.
Classy first race victory for Fraser Williamson, the Movano Corsa driver, 369. He takes a victory from Grossman and Eyre, as Andy just said there. So, I've got to say, that was very calm and controlled from everybody. Yes, we had a couple of first lap incidents, Andy Alston, but judging from what everybody was telling us that was going to happen midweek, it certainly didn't. This man tried, Robert McGregor. He had his elbows very much well and truly out, and we're hearing in our ears from Mo Diggory that everybody finished that race, Andy.
Well, dare I say, would that be the first time that's happened? Well, you always tend to have some kind of drama, don't we, in these events? So I'd be very impressed if that is what's happened. And let's hope that continues in race number 2.
Race number 2 is the finishing order for race number 1. For the third race of the day, the top 8 will reverse and the rest of the grid will stay the same. So there's no break in proceedings. Knockhill, for the legends, we get the car straight back on the grid and away we go. The drivers can have a quick drink of water. Andy Alston, any ideas for the Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day so far?
I don't know if I want to say now, Duncan, because we might jinx them. There is one driver that is in my mind, but I don't know if I want to say.
I'll give you one of my gold coins if you do hear it. I've got chocolate gold coins.
Oh, jeez. Well, I won't name their name, but there's a driver in the top 10 who I thought was very impressive in the opener. I don't want to jinx them, but one in the top 10 I think worth keeping an eye on, and I'll leave it at that.
So poor Ronald Grossman's on hiding to nothing now against that pit wall. Yeah, we can read you like a book, Alston. We really can. You're so predictable. Yeah, okay, I agree with that. Michael McPherson also stands out in that one, as the junior. And further down the field, we've got to take our hat off to Robert McGregor. He's certainly giving us lots of action. But race number 2, well, the rolling start gets underway just now. The rolling lap gets underway. It's once again Fraser Williamson in control as they follow the... Well, what would that be? That would be like one of these Ford pickups, would I not be mistaken? If we're in America, it certainly would be. But over the crest of Duffus Dip, I don't think it'll be feeling just as nice as one of these legends. As I said earlier on, this is a lap where the drivers are getting the brakes up to temperature, the steering, not the steering, the tyres up to temperature, and ultimately pulling down on those seatbelts and making sure in the real world that they're extremely tight. Get yourself to Knockhill and try and pick up a bit of viewing on the legends. It really is great racing. As I said, the 1250cc XGR Yamaha engines, they get driven within an inch of their life, and Legend Racing will be back in 2022 at Knockhill. Andy, pick a winner.
Well, Fraser Williamson, of course, is the man to beat. If Ronald Grossman can just put him under pressure early on, I think the big difference going into this race is he would have to commit and make the move early, trying to bide his time in the opener, and then a couple of mistakes and over a few laps in the middle of the race really cost his chances of going into the top step of the podium. So if Grossman wants to win this race, I think he's got to get the move done early. However, a number of quick drivers all close behind and more than capable of winning this one as well.
Watch out for Flymo. That's all I'm going to say. Watch out for Flymo. He's in the third row off the grid behind Jack Eyre, his teammate just now alongside Junior. In comes the pace vehicle. It's under starters' orders. Watch for the lights. They just go straight to green as they come up over the crest hill, and away goes Fraser Williamson with a bit of a jump on the start there. He will lead as they go down towards Duffus Dip underneath the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge. Into second place goes Ronald Grossman and Jack Eyre having a little bit of a look. Then it's McPherson, then it's Junior, then it's Michael Weddle into McIntyre's. They do concertina up a bit, but once again, everybody behaving themselves and getting through. Number 91 there goes through and just spins in front of us. James Warrior onto the grass, 47. He jumps out of it very, very early, and I've got to say that he won't be too happy about that. But at Clark Corner, lap number 1, it's Fraser Williamson who leads through and heads towards Hislops and the hairpin. Ronald Grossman will have to keep an eye on his mirrors because Jack Attack is moving up. That's Jack here from McPherson, Higgins and Weddle down in 6th place just now. So, well, I've cursed Weddle and you've cursed Grossman. What's going to happen as we move our way through this race, Andy?
Yeah, and John Higgins Jr. just making the move on Michael Weddle to go into 5th place. Just further back, it's the 94 of Ryan Smith off at the hairpin, unfortunately for him, so he goes tumbling down the order. Adam Brown in the 16, just looking to put Mark Hare in the 91. Just made a move on him there for 8th place. But all the cars making their way through Duffus safely in the second time of asking. But Fraser Williamson with a gap of 0.3 of a second at the front. Del Smith just on your time sheets has just gone down the order as well. Mark Hare in the 91s also had a moment, so he goes down the standings. There he is, just picking up there on the exit of McIntyre and making his way up the chicane. So unfortunately, it's all gone wrong for him. Back at the front though, there is Fraser Williamson in the lead. Let's ride on board with Rethink Racing man Jack Eyre, currently in 3rd place. Will he throw that car up the inside and into the hairpin to make a move? He goes down into 2nd gear, keeps the car in 2nd for this one, opts not to drop it down into 1st, so that secures the car on exit. And notice how he got a much cleaner exit there than Ronald Grossman as well. So side by side they go down the start finish straight. Does Jack Eyre have enough momentum to make this move stick? He's got his nose in front. He's in 2nd place at the moment. He's got the inside line, and Jack Eyre moves into 2nd place in this race. Ronald Grossman down to 3rd, but watch out for the green car of Michael McPherson. He could throw that car down the inside, and he does just that, but unfortunately Michael McPherson can't make that move. So Ronald Grossman securing third place for the moment, but Michael McPherson's got something to say about that.
Yeah, behind Michael McPherson, we've got Flymo then, Junior as well, then Adam Brown, another Rethink Racing driver. But great move from Jack Eyre there. We saw that as he come at the hip in second gear. He just pulled himself up alongside and then managed to tow up and pass Grossman in towards Duffus Dip. Owen Ross and Scott Smith both having an off track at the exit of Clark just now as we come in towards the open and everybody's starting to get kind of tight and close here. Got to say that Jack Eyre has got Grossman, McPherson, Weddle and Higgins all behind him as a little bit side-to-side contact and off, bang! Into the barrier goes Michael Johnson, and that removes the front left wing and part of the grille as well. He'll be needing to get a gap in the traffic. That will be straight back into pit lane for running repairs. But all that battling at the front is letting Fraser Williamson once again do his usual customary disappearing act that he is so good at. Once you give him a gap, it's so difficult to get it back. But Jack Eyre will throw everything at this. Round he goes. Jack Eyre spins at the exit of the chicane. Round he goes. Too much curb. We will get a replay of that one. We could possibly even get an onboard as Jack comes over the crest. You can see the car's already gone as he lands so lucky not to get collected and pick up huge damage. There comes Robert McGregor, actually. But thankfully, somebody else goes on the back as well. Was that car 5 Cameron Bryden? So lots and lots of action at the chicane early on, but thankfully those guys all making their way back onto the track, and away we go. So we got through race number 1 with just a little bit of spins and offs. We're getting it again in race number 2, lap number 5. 3 minutes of the race gone. McPherson up the inside of Ronald Grossman. Can he make the move or stick? Yes, he can. Side by side over Duffus Dip. McPherson should be on the inside in towards McIntyre's. Puts the legend on the inside, tries the block pass, and here comes Michael Weddle. He's been here before in the mini. Great opportunistic move from Michael Weddle to get himself ahead of Grossman and follow McPherson through. The momentum's away from Grossman. Here comes Junior in the Stars and Stripe car. The manoeuvre there, or doesn't, not necessarily can't, doesn't want to risk his exit, because if you look in his mirror, right above his mirror, you got the pink bumper. There's a car on his tail. Andy Alston, great legends driving.
Absolutely, and a trademark Michael Weddle move into the bargain as well. Just timed that overtaking opportunity to perfection. Podium step at the moment. Jack Eyre back up into 9th after that moment. Just a lap or so ago, but yeah, good action there. Good bit of scrapping, and all the meanwhile, Fraser Williamson has just checked out at the front. 3.6 seconds is that gap between him and the 1:16 of Michael McPherson. So Williamson, of course, was looking in a very strong position to secure the Winter Cup, and he will do just that now as he leads the way at the front of this race. So Fraser Williamson has been impressive throughout and will almost certainly be signing off this evening as our Winter Cup champion, barring an absolute calamity. But Michael McPherson, Michael Weddle, both there, just coming into our screens now. The green car of McPherson, currently 2nd place. Weddle putting him under a bit of pressure, but watch out for the blue car of Ronald Grossman, who's gone from 2nd to 4th, and he'll be keen to make amends for that. Adam Brown and John Higgins Jr. also getting into the mix as well.
Scott Smith just gets ahead of Jack Eyre at the hairpin, and Jack Eyre will be kicking himself after that manoeuvre at the chicane. He won't be happy with the way he lost that one. Thankfully, he wasn't collected by anybody else, but in towards the first corner. Jack Eyre back ahead of them now. Ahead of Scott Smith as Scott tails him over the top of Duffus Dip. These legends look so twitchy. Scott Smith all over the back of said Jack Eyre there, who talks so well whenever we get him in our virtual commentary box. We do like having that. But these guys are all chasing down the Cannonball Rocker himself. It's Robert McGregor in 1:17, and so far Robert has had a very quiet race as Ronald Grossman has another moment of Clark's, and he's got damage on the front left, I believe. Let's get a replay of that as he comes through side by side now. Has he got the damage? Yes! Bang! Into the tyre wall he goes, all on his own. John Higgins Jr. would have had a grandstand view of that one. And when it's not going your way, when things just aren't working well, momentum's against you, and you can see for Ronald Grossman, he's gone from 2nd down to 6th and picked up a huge amount of damage. So let's see what Junior can do. Currently in P5, chasing Adam Brown over the crest of Duffus through Leslie's. Bring it back on the brakes from McIntyre's. Down 1 gear, get the apex, get on the gas. Flat, down 3 gear through Butcher's. Grab a gear before it. Little lift for the chicane. Then get back on the power as early as you possibly can. Adam Brown makes a mistake. And off he goes. Pressure from Junior makes Adam Brown make a mistake there. And that was brilliant bit of onboard viewing for us. Not so for Adam Brown, though, Andy.
No, absolutely not. Adam Brown just getting it all wrong there on the exit of the chicane. It's very easy to do in these cars. The chicane's tricky to navigate on the iRacing service, and unfortunately he's found that out the hard way. One thing just to keep in mind, Ronald Grossman, of course, out there with damage, but deciding not to pit at the halfway point of this race. Of course, remember, we've got a reverse grid for the finale, so Ronald Grossman is really just banking on trying to keep that car in the top 8 and then starting the final race in this Winter Cup, potentially from the front row of the grid. So Ron was one driver worth keeping an eye on here, but Robert McGregor, Jackie, Scott Smith will all know that he is out there with a damaged car and will be keen to try and make their way through.
Brilliant on board from Michael Weddle as he chases down the green Mini of Michael McPherson in towards Clark Corner as we are 9 laps in and 8 minutes gone of this 15-lap race. Big kick-off oversteer off the curb for Michael Weddle there, as they come in towards the hairpin behind Weddle. It is Junior just keeping himself out of trouble in a good race so far. But this is where the action all is. You can see the battle for second place really does rage. Behind them, John Higgins Jr. with a bit of a gap over Adam Brown, who we saw making that mistake then. A lame, I've got to say, Ronald Grossman with the damage in the front left of that car, but not affecting him too much just now. Ahead of Robert McGregor, I'll say that again, ahead of Robert McGregor, and then Jack Ayre, who will be pole position for race number 3. Not the way Jackie Boy would want to get to the front, but sometimes you have to take whatever option you can. Behind him, Scott Smith in 9th, and James McIntosh runs out the top 10. Robert McGregor, though, is coming under pressure, and what Robert needs to do here is almost not fight Jack too much. If he fights him too much and makes a mistake and goes off, it's going to compromise his last race. If Jack's quicker, let him go and pick up that provisional pole for the reverse grid race, but that really isn't in the DNA makeup of Robert McGregor as he almost throws it off the track. Don't talk about him, Duncan. You'll just make him make a mistake as McGregor slots in behind Jack Ayre now into that 8th place. You'll see a nice gap behind him. If he can just tone the back of Jack Ayre here, he should be safe. But I've got to say, he's not, because Scott Smith, the Knockhill garage mechanic in 82, is the next car up, and we know how quick Scott's been through almost everything that he's driven this year. He's been a little bit under the radar. He come in very quiet, but Andy Alston, number 82, Scott Smith, he's a proper charger.
Oh, absolutely. Scott's a very, very quick driver in anything that he turns his hand to. And yeah, he's a driver who I think will be one to keep an eye on. Hopefully, if we do go for a championship in 2022, a prolonged championship across the year, Scott will be one worth keeping an eye on, because you know the great thing about these SMRC events is we're taking part in events not just in a wide range of tracks, but different cars as well, and that presents lots of challenges to the drivers. We've seen some guys out there who really struggle perhaps in single seaters, or they're more confident in GT3 style cars, but great thing about Scott's skill set is the consistency that he can bring. He's always there or thereabouts, and will be keen to sign off his Winter Cup campaign in style. Back at the front, though, Michael McPherson coming under a little bit of pressure from Weddle here. So Weddle just on the outside there going into Duffus, so unfortunately won't be able to make a move here for second place. Will he throw the car at the inside then into McIntyre? Thinks better of it, but Michael McPherson a little bit slow on the exit there, and Weddle just coming together there, a little bit of contact, but both cars coming through that relatively unscathed. But Weddle is piling on the pressure now and keen to really get a move on. So let's see if Michael Weddle can make the opportunity stick here. They go around Clark's, and it's a good exit once more for the Rethink Racing driver, and he will be using all of that slipstream to perhaps make a move here into the hairpin, or will he indeed bide his time and make an opportunity come together on the start-finish line? So let's see how they approach the hairpin. So it's very, very, very narrow there from Weddle, clipping the apex and then some, and he is now very much in the slipstream range of Michael McPherson. We've got John Higgins Jr. beginning to reel in these two as they continue to scrap as well, with a couple of minutes left to go in race number 2. But Michael McPherson once more hanging on into second place in this race. But John Higgins Jr., Adam Brown, Ronald Grossman, all just a few seconds down the road and all more than capable of getting involved as well.
Ethan Gardner just ahead of Kieran Smart in 11th and 12th places there. But we did see Michael McPherson park that green car a lap ago in the apex of McIntyre's, and Weddle straight into the back bumper with a whole heap of gusto. And I was just starting to think to myself, is McPherson trying to slow the pace down as Weddle goes off track, then back on? Is McPherson trying to slow the pace down to bring Junior into this, to take a bit of heat off him and make Weddle start to watch his mirrors, because John Higgins Jr. is not far off the pace, and Jr. is looking for a podium here. Contrasting lines in towards the apron as well. McPherson turns in very, very early. Weddle with a much more wide swing in through, but ultimately it has the same effect by the time they get to the top of the main straight here. We're looking at the back of Michael Weddle from John Higgins Jr. Jr. goes through the top of the apex of Duffus and sits tight against the apex through the left-hander of McIntyre's good move. And you can see this ahead of him. He can smell the exhaust fumes that'll be coming off the back of these cars here. And it's such a good feeling when you're starting to catch those guys in front who are battling hard, and you start to make inroads and cut that lead down they've got. As Andy Alston says, we're 12 minutes 50 seconds into a 15-lap race. Have your say on the Reese Motorsport Insurance Driver of the Day. These guys covering all the action that we have here with Sim Broadcast as we come in towards the hairpin. Lap number 14. Fraser Williamson's gone, ladies and gentlemen. He's 8 seconds up the road, and he has checked into a different postcode as we come through the hairpin. Ahead of us is third place man. Ahead of him is the green car in second place. And it's game on very much for Junior here.
Oh, absolutely is. And that's been a good couple of laps from him as well. Good, clean, consistent laps and very fast ones into the bargain as well. He's been taking a few tenths of a second out of the two cars in front of him. And this is the moment now where he really does he decide to show his show his hand here, or does he keep his class close to his chest, because he's got two cars here who Weddle, of course, was very, very close coming out of Clark there and ran a little bit wide. So Higgins is going to sense that and perhaps will just bide his time here at the moment. Weddle goes much wider into Clark there than McPherson, and just looking again, taking all of the curb on exit as well. That has brought Weddle very, very close to McPherson indeed here, but Weddle is on the outside, the green car of McPherson on the inside into the hairpin. So the exchange places on entrance, and they come together, and both cars come together, and Weddle's got it all wrong. He collides once again with McPherson. Both cars come together. Higgins has gone into second place, and Adam Brown has sneaked into third place into the bargain.
Let's have a replay of that one side by side to the hairpin. We talked about Junior maybe getting on the podium. Weddle tries to squeeze McPherson round to go, then a secondary bit of contact. Junior drives past him, clicks a few gears. He'll still be chuckling up the main straight just now, and Weddle decided to have a little shot at Ronald Grossman as well. So that effectively, ladies and gentlemen, is championship over. Fraser Williamson will come away from race number 2 with the Winter Cup in his pocket, but right now, with 14:45 to go, we could have the race ending on this lap as they come out of Clark Corner, depending on Fraser Williamson. If he slows down enough, the checker flag will be out. It's getting made ready for Fraser Williamson. He's going to take the checkered flag. Now he wins race number 2 at Knockhill. It's a white flag. He actually got the white flag. So here we go. We've got one more lap for John Higgins Jr. to hold on to that second place. Fraser could have just breathed on the throttle pedal that little bit more and he could have just had the race over by now. But everybody loves to have that one last lap as we see John Higgins Jr. Junior's under pressure from Adam Brown. Adam Brown goes up the inside. Junior sees it coming. He's not daft. He hangs on the outside. He's got space. Brown lights up the wheels on the inside. They're through. Butcher's so close. McPherson is now back in towards us. And Junior manages to hold on, going through the chicane up towards Clark Corner for the last time of asking. Junior gets through the apex. He'll be looking in his mirror all the way along Hislop's as he makes a good exit from Clark in towards the last corner at Knockhill. Taylor's turn, the hairpin. Fraser Williamson comes up towards the checker flag. We'll see that happening now. We'll go back to the hairpin to see Junior coming in. He gets to the apex. John Higgins Jr., a couple of gear changes, will take a fabulously well-deserved second place. Adam Brown will come home in third place, and in fourth place it will be Michael McPherson. The Stars and Stripe car is back on the podium at Knockhill Racing Circuit, and that was a bit of a crazy end to the race. Michael Weddle and Michael McPherson coming together. Weddle, though, does come home in fifth place, ahead of Jack here, Ronald Grossman, and look who's on pole for race number 3. He held his nerve and 117. There's your pole sitter for race number 3. Not a great place to stop, but that is Robert McGregor. Andy Alston, we'll come back in a minute or two, but what did you think of that? That was a crazy finish.
Well, a big thanks to Fraser Williamson for treating us to one extra lap there. He could have slowed down and taken the checkered flag, but he opted to go once more, and he really set up a fantastic showdown there. And the action in his Legends car has been fantastic, and that was some great scrapping there with John Higgins Jr. taking second place ahead of Adam Brown. Michael McPherson coming home in 4th place as well with a strong drive. Lots of big talking points there, of course, the contact between McPherson and Weddle into the hairpin, but it means that we've got one more race in a few minutes' time to round off our fantastic Winter Cup, and it will be Robert McGregor, of course, starting it from pole position.
Now, would you say that was contact between McPherson and Weddle, or was it contact between Weddle and McPherson? Tricky one, that. Well, let's leave that one. Let's not dig up that too much. But we will be back in a minute or two, guys. So remember, have your say in the Reese Motorsport Insurance Driver of the Day. This is the final round of the SMRC eSports Winter Cup, brought to you by the SMRC, powered by Reese Motorsport Insurance, and presented by Sim Broadcast, Pete and Mo Diggory back at base. Duncan, Andy, we'll be back in a minute or two. We'll go and grab a quick coffee. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Here we are back for race number 3, the final race of the SMRC eSports Winter Cup, and the grid will be doing a rolling start formation pretty soon. Duncan, Vincent and Andy Alston, well, we've called them comedy boxes and commentary boxes, but we have had such a great time together commentating on this whole year. It's been a bit of a blur because we've had so much to do, but it really is classy racing. We've got to thank all our competitors, the guys back at base, Mo and Pete, and the SMRC and Reese Motorsport Insurance, and most of all, you guys for tuning in and enjoying and supporting all these drivers on track, whether you're beside them in a room or whether you're virtually watching them and sending them text messages through the Discord. The weather has been fabulous, as it always is at the eSports iRacing Knockhill Circuit, and it's just lovely to see Knockhill bathed in sunshine with good spectators around it. Let's hope in the real world we get that again this year. The grid sees Robert McGregor on pole from Ronald Grossman, with Jack Eyre and Michael Weddle on row 2. Row 3 is made up from Michael McPherson and Adam Brown, and row 4, John Higgins Jr. and Fraser Williamson, the champion. Row 5 sees Scott Smith and James McIntosh, and Kieran Smart and Ethan Gardner are on row 6.
It's Danny Kazar starting this one from 13th alongside Ryan Smith, Cameron Ritchie in 15th with Owen Ross in 16th, Michael Johnson in 17th alongside David Bolton, and it's Mark Herron, Dale Smith, Mark Chappell, Sean Dobie, James Warrior and Cameron Bryden in 24th.
Yeah, Cameron Bryden, looking forward to seeing what he can do in the real world. As we look further back down, we've also got Gaz Brown and Jonathan Glover in there, as well as we are on the blimp cam. That could be the Goodyear blimp cam as we see the cars coming round the McIntyres. And it's Robert McGregor who finds himself on pole position. Alongside him, Ronald Grossman. That was the man that Andy Alston tipped for the possible Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day. And look what happened to poor old Ronald in that last race. We will not tell you live on air who we have got in our minds, because we are actually genuinely scared that we may be curse drivers without them knowing about it. But keep your eyes on the pack. Let's see how this one unfolds. It's Robert McGregor in the You Pull It liveried car. Another kind of tip of the hat to John Higgins himself, the former world champion, who I know is tuned in and watching. I'm very proud of how his boy performed in that last race. He will be, because Junior was under all sorts of pressure and he hung in there and got a good second place. But it's Robert McGregor and Ronald Grossman on the front row of the grid, and just behind them we have got the couple of Rethink Racing drivers side by side. That could be interesting. We've then got Michael McPherson, who we also saw involved with Michael Weddle at the hairpin. It's Jack Eyre and Weddle on the second row of the grid, and is that Adam Brown, I believe, on the third row of the grid alongside McPherson. But here we come. It's quite a strung out start this time. He has gone for it as Robert McGregor. The lights go green. McGregor will lead over the crest of the hill, and here comes Jack Eyre into second place as they go in towards Duffus Dip. Grossman on the outside will try and hang in there, but Jack Eyre will be forceful up the inside as they go down through Leslie's. There goes Eyre into second place. Michael Weddle has a look, but not able to get through. One of the Rethink guys runs a bit wide in front of John Higgins Jr. That was Adam Brown, as they all hold their breath and make their way through the black circle chicane for the first time of Askin. Off goes Grossman. He's off halfway up the back straight and into the grassy area. When it's not going your way, it just doesn't work. Grossman gets from the grass back onto the track and away he goes, but he will be plumb last with that manoeuvre as we come round towards the hairpin. Jack Eyre says he is in P1 just now. There's Fraser Williamson, the champion of 2021/22, currently in 5th place just now. Robert McGregor down to second place. He's about to lose another position to possible Michael Weddle. And who was that? Dave Bolton or Mark Hearn spinning in the background. Andy Alston, the reverse grid, once again giving us action from the word go.
Certainly is, and I feel like I owe an apology to Ronald Grossman. I
think
we
you
really have cost him, haven't we? Drove a fabulous first race as well, and yeah, it's not been a good start, unfortunately, for him getting it all wrong at the chicane. But Robert McGregor wasn't hanging about at the start. Pulled out a gap of 0.5 of a second, but now finds himself in second place and 0.3 of a second behind Jack Eyre. Michael McPherson, the bright green car, though, currently in third place. Will him and Michael Weddle have one more scrap here? Because let's ride on board with the 369 of Fraser Williamson. He's got Weddle and McPherson both ahead of him. Will Williamson throw this car up the inside into the hairpin? He does just that. Side by side he goes with Michael Weddle and Fraser Williamson. A very nice clean move and up into 4th place. Michael Weddle not quite giving this one up without a fight, but we have got a little bit of contact further behind. It's Ryan Smith who has had a moment there at the hairpin, so he goes well down the standings. But Weddle and Williamson once more exchanging places going into Duffus, but Williamson in 4th, Weddle in 5th, Adam Brown in 6th place.
Up the inside of Robert McGregor goes McPherson, and he makes that move. McGregor just flirts with the gravel trap and comes back on in front of the champion. Fraser Williamson and John Higgins Jr. makes a big go through the chicane there. Michael Weddle, and who's 16? Let me get that right. Adam Brown was compromised going through there, Adam Brown, actually. But not to be, no change in position. If anything, Adam Brown ducks out from the slipstream to try and not let Junior get any toe. As into the hairpin side by side, we have got the green car off Robert McGregor, and up the inside comes Fraser Williamson. Williamson goes through there 3 wide almost through the apex hairpin, and Michael Weddle was almost tagged in the back by Adam Brown there, trying to stop the car at the apex and turn it. And Adam Brown was homing into the back bumper of that Rethink car pretty quickly. Michael Johnson goes side by side up the main straight with Danny Cassar. Danny, who's been a little bit quiet in the legend, I've got to say. We normally see him a little bit further up, but he holds off Johnson for the time of asking. Jack Eyre is at the front, though. He's got 7/10 of a second lead in his number 13 Rethink Racing Legend over Michael McPherson in his lovely green coloured car, who's got a second and a half lead over the champion. Fraser Williamson is very much on a drive to get to the front. Fraser wants to take all 3 if he can. Then we've got McGregor. Then we have got Weddle, Brown and Junior. Junior still in another good showing. Behind him, Garage Mechanics, Scotty Smith in car number 82. It's all happening at the hairpin. Brown goes up the inside of Weddle. And Michael Weddle under a bit of pressure from his teammate. That was a good, clean, clinical move, Andy.
It was, and Weddle will be disappointed. Conceded 2 positions in as many laps at that hairpin. And he's got something to say about it because he's got a very good run down the start-finish straight, but not opting to make a move into Duffus there. So Weddle holding on to 6th place at the moment. Michael McPherson, all in the meanwhile, just posted the fastest lap of the race with a 55.9, so he will be beginning to gradually reel in Jack Eyre in the lead. But Jack Eyre last time out at 56.2, so Jack's still got plenty of pace there. A little bit of a moment there for Robert McGregor in 4th place. Adam Brown senses an opportunity to throw that car up the inside into Clark. He does just that. And Adam Brown almost going into 4th place. McGregor not giving that one up without a fight. That is bringing the number 7 car of Michael Weddle into contention as well. Will they go 3 wide into the hairpin? Weddle's not got room to make that happen, so he's just got to bide his time. But Robert McGregor on the outside, so Adam Brown says, thanks very much, I'll take 4th place. But Michael Weddle says, I'll take 4th place. So Michael Weddle is just leapfrog both Brown and McGregor. Great bit of action there. Side by side go the Rethink Racing drivers. Robert McGregor will be furious. He's down into 6th place, and he's got John Higgins Jr. and Scott Smith hot on his heels as well.
McGregor with a great manoeuvre around the outside at Clark's, but didn't defend that manoeuvre that he's done at Clark's into the hairpin as Junior into the back of McGregor, and he's got Scott Smith all over the back of him now as they go down through Butchers. But it was definitely Michael Weddle who was the big winner in that last lap fracas from Clark's to the hairpin as we go on board with Junior. Yep, it was a great move round outside by Robert McGregor here as Junior's looking at his dad now, which must be a strange sensation going round towards the hairpin. That would make me want to drive him off the road, actually, as he come in towards the hairpin. Junior won't use him for brakes. It's his teammate ahead of him. But into the come, McGregor goes a bit wide. Junior's up the inside. That was close there. Very, very close. Was that a little bit of contact as they come up the main straight? Can we see anything wrong with the Stars and Striped car? No, we can't. But what we can see is ahead of McGregor, Weddle and Brown starting to already put distance into them. And Scott Smith was all over the back of Junior until that bit of a sort out at McIntyre's a lap or so ago. But back at the front, it's Jack Eyre with half a second still in his pocket, just over Michael McPherson. That's come down a tenth over the past 3 or 4 laps, but that's it. The big change seems to be Fraser Williamson getting bigger in the mirrors of Michael McPherson, so he's going to have to watch for that. Different camera angle in towards Clark's. I do like that. A director's working for his payday today as they come through Clark's towards the Hislops. Junior needs to make a manoeuvre now. He needs to get past Robert McGregor. There's no point being fanboy and following his dad round on the bootlet of the car all night. He's got to get past McGregor. Sideways into the hairpin. Where was that going? Junior must have the drive through the corner side by side. That should be that position done and dusted by the time they get to Duffus Dip. But this, not quite yet, Andy Alston, but here comes up the inside now John Higgins Jr., Scott Smith, the next man, with eyes on the back of McGregor.
Yeah, Scott Smith was the driver I was watching there going up the start-finish straight, and John Smith just come together with Robert McGregor. all gone wrong at McIntyre's. Robert McGregor is off. We've got the 4.36 off as well. Let's get a replay and find out what happened.
Yeah, over the top of Duffy's dip. Good move from Junior. Now Scott Smith has a move round the outside. Robert McGregor turns across Scott Smith, who really can't make himself invisible once he committed to that manoeuvre. So contact, and we also saw James McIntosh, whether he went off in sympathy, but that was a whopping big accident for James McIntosh into where the Marshalls Hut area is at turn 3 McIntyre. So unfortunate, but it has been known that things do get quite heated in race number 3, but we need to look at this at the front because that was Jack Eyre. We were looking back at Michael McPherson. McPherson has now thrown down the gauntlet and he is on a huge charge. 56.5 last lap round for Jack Eyre, 56.4 last lap round for Michael McPherson, 55.9. The only man in the 55-second bracket was Fraser Williamson, and he's in third place. So we've had a bit of a sort out there, Andy Alston. It's all about these guys at the front. 1, 2, and 3 all together on track. 8 minutes into the race, 9 laps gone.
Fraser Williamson will fancy his chances of making this a clean sweep here. He is very much in contention now, but Michael McPherson, very strong, not just in terms of attacking, but in defending as well. So Fraser's going to have his work cut out here, but Jack Eyre is certainly putting in the fast laps at the front here, and he is not fazed by these two quick drivers behind him. And yeah, this is really setting the stage for a thrilling finale here in the last race in the Winter Cup. So Jack Eyre still leading away from 0.3 of a second of Michael McPherson, with Fraser Williamson now just beginning to put a little bit of pressure on, and there's a good gap of 3 and a bit seconds between Williamson and Weddle, because Weddle's just coming under a bit of pressure from his Rethink Racing teammate Adam Brown in the 16. And there are the two Rethink Racing teammates here just making their way up the chicane now. And Adam Brown's had an impressive event here in the Legends, it must be said, and he'll be keen to finish this one on a high and potentially make a move on Weddle.
Michael McPherson is flashing, and I don't mean that in a dodgy way. It looks like the North of Scotland internet connection is not as good as it should be. Dropping in and out, mind you, I've had problems with that, and I'm in 5. So here we come. It's still Jack Eyre, McPherson, and this will be strange for Fraser Williamson because, Andy, will he be seeing that car disappear like we see as he's following him round?
Yeah, that's very possible, and it can be quite unnerving when you want to throw a car, you want to throw the car up the inside, you want to make a move, but you're not 100% sure if you're going to come together. Now, it's important to note, of course, the iRacing service, essentially, because everyone's internet connection is slightly different, if two cars are very close side by side, the platform can sometimes determine that both cars would have potentially came together, and that creates what's known as a net code incident. So both cars collide when they haven't in fact made contact, but the iRacing service determines that they were both on a trajectory where that would have happened, and cars can find themselves into the gravel trap, into the tyre wall, or worse. So there's that kind of thing to contend with, and there is the moment between Williamson and McPherson. They've come together at the hairpin. We'll have to get a replay and find out what happened.
In towards the hairpin, and we talked about this being an issue up the inside. Doesn't go Fraser Williamson, and then round to go, a little bit of contact. He just drives into Michael McPherson. Michael, I've got to say, done absolutely nothing wrong that time. He wasn't flashing or disappearing, and Fraser Williamson turns him around. Well, he's already the champion. He'll be very apologetic in the chat room, one would imagine. But Michael McPherson hasn't. The best of time, and he collects with Junior, John Higgins Jr. and Michael McPherson off at the exit of McIntyre's, and that's a disaster for Junior. Has the Stars and Stripe car picked up damage from that? We've got the guys at base trying to find a replay, a longer replay of that one, and here we see it now as they come through. Up the inside goes McPherson. Junior gives him plenty room, and then unfortunately two cars going for the same bit of tarmac, and off they go. Junior has only lost one position to Scott Smith, though, in that, I believe. Or Kieran Smart as well. So decent stuff. Kieran Smart. What a great run for Kieran Smart. And what a great run for Scott Smith. Both flown a little bit underneath the radar, Andy, as we get into 11 minutes of this race. 13 laps gone. Reese Motorsport Insurance Driver of the Day. Now, I don't want to bring this up, but we have to. Keep the chat room busy. Let us know your thoughts. Andy and myself have been speaking off air. We've already destroyed Ronald Grossman's night after race number 1, so we're not going to go any further with that as Michael Weddle, Flymo by nickname, Flymo by Racing, stands there as he comes through the chicane. And he's all under pressure and making mistakes and looking a little bit scruffy-duffy-doo as Michael Weddle now. And here comes Adam Brown pulling up alongside him, giving him the little bit of the wave as he pulls up, uses the brake pedal and makes a very classy, clean manoeuvre. These Rethink Racing drivers of Jack Ayre and Adam Brown really have been on the ball tonight. Michael Weddle has been as well, but we've seen a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes from Michael Weddle, and somebody was stopped on the main straight on the right-hand side there in a yellow car. Who could that be? Andy Alston. Jonathan Glover, I think.
Well, it could well be. You just parked the car well off the racing line, and unfortunately, perhaps just had a little bit of an incident there, and the car's just not going to perhaps make it all the way around the lap. But let's take a look just with this battle here between Brown and Weddle. Adam Brown currently on the final step of the podium as things stand. He's had 3 second place visits so far in this Winter Cup, and he'll be keen to round off his campaign with one more visit to the podium. But look, Fraser Williamson now beginning to reel in Jack Ayre. 0.2 of a second is the gap as they go into the hairpin. Jack Ayre, of course, has won before in this Winter Cup, and Fraser Williamson has been he's been in the podium in all but one race in the Winter Cup, so he'll be keen to round off his campaign with a clean sweep, and he could well do just that with a couple of minutes left in this race. Last time out, Fraser Williamson took a 10th out of Jack Ayre, so let's see if perhaps Jack can just hold on here. He takes a narrow line into McIntyre. That shuts the door on Williamson. Williamson just has a little bit of a wiggle on exit there, as does Jack Ayre as they enter the chicane. This could be Williamson's chance. Jack Ayre has gone very, very wide, and through goes Williamson into the lead of this race. Jack Ayre has just about managed to hold on to that car, but Fraser Williamson takes the lead of the race.
I was just a way to say going into Duffus here, right, if I'm Jack Ayre, there is no way Fraser Williamson's getting past me. And unfortunately, the commentator just thought of that, and then a little mistake going through the chicane for both guys there. But Jack, yeah, he was fighting that, still going up the back straight. So the man who's dominated the year in everything that we have done, basically, for the SMRC, Fraser Williamson, hits the front. He's going to make it 3 out of 3 with 2 laps to go, barring a disaster. Jack Ayre, in fact, that's the white flag. That was the white flag that time round. So this will be the last lap of the 2021/2022 Winter Cup. And it's Fraser Williamson, the man, the myth, the legend, as he comes down through Butchers. He's chasing Robert McGregor. You can hear the director getting a bit nervous in my ear here. But through he goes. Robert moves well out of the way, very professional as he is for MSR. But Williamson comes through Clark's, a few gear changes on his way. Weddle ahead of Adam Brown now. That's been raging for the duration. And Adam Brown thinks about the move at the hairpin. And it's still possible, it still could happen. But it's this man here, 369, Movano Corsa Sims racer, Fraser Williamson, who has picked up the championship after race number 2. And he is going to take 3 out of 3 here at Knockhill as he celebrates from side to side. Takes the 3rd race win, takes the championship. He's came, saw and conquered as Robert McGregor ends the way he started, in the wall. 2nd place for Jack Ayre. 3rd place for Michael Weddle, just holding off Adam Brown. Kieran Smart with a brilliant 5th place ahead of Scott Smith. John Higgins, a good drive for Junior there, actually, because he fought off a bit of contact with Michael McPherson and had a solid night, we have to say, Andy Alston. Ahead of Ronald Grossman, Cameron Ritchie, and in 10th place, Michael Johnson.
Yeah, it's a great way to round off the Winter Cup there. Good bit of action there between Michael Weddle and Adam Brown, and Weddle just taking the final podium spot in the Winter Cup. So good racing between the two Rethink Racing guys, but it's all about that man there, Fraser Williamson. It's a clean sweep in the Legends. He is the provisional champion in the Winter Cup, and he will be delighted with his performance here tonight. And it's a good win, 1.2 seconds in the end from Jack Ayre, and I'm looking forward to hearing what not just Fraser, but a number of the drivers have to say when they join us in the commentary box in a few moments' time.
As the rest of the cars litter the circuit there we have the finishing results on screen. The top 10, as we said, Williamson, Ayre, Weddle, Brown, Smart, Smith, Higgins, Grossman, Ritchie and Johnson in 10th place. So there's a vote for some drivers on some of the chat rooms. So our Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day, Andy Alston, we did have a chat. We talked about quite a few drivers, but we were both taken by one man tonight, and I'm going to leave you to do the honours to announce it, if you would be so kind.
Ooh, Well, I think, there's been a number of impressive performances, it must be said, throughout the field, but I think I would go for John Higgins Jr.
Yeah, we'll give Junior
based on the looking at the 3 events in the round. I think Higgins Jr. did very well, particularly in that last race as well. Had a little bit of an incident and managed to just recover it and bring the car home. So it was a very strong outing for Junior, and he is a Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day.
Ironic that he drives past Ronald Grossman there. He drives past Ronald Grossman, who we tipped for it after race number 1. And Grossman's facing the wrong way on the grass. But we'll get Junior straight into our virtual commentary box just now, and we shall welcome the final Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day. The Stars and Stripe car has brought him luck. It's 20 years since his dad last sat in that car and won the World Championship over at Sonoma in Northern California. Junior, first of all, congratulations, buddy. A good, solid Wednesday evening for you, and you take away the Reese Motorsport Insurance Driver of the Day accolade as well.
Hello, thank you.
How was the night for you? Because you were involved in quite a few. We'll talk us in the very last races. What happened with Michael McPherson? It looked like he left a bit of room, but that just 2 cars heading for the same bit of tarmac on the exit of the corner?
He dived onto McIntyre just fair, left him room, and on the exit he didn't leave me the same, and we had contact and both went off, but it is what it is, I guess, but it's a bit annoying.
Fun times racing your teammate for MSR Racing, Robert McGregor, and seeing your dad's face on his boot lid as you chase him into the hairpin?
Yeah, that was quite weird, seeing my dad's face in the car in front of me for like 5 laps, but...
No, it's not a pretty thing to see, but I mean, you must enjoy the legend. I mean, he's got to have been giving you some sort of tips on how to drive these cars and keep you right.
Yeah, definitely. I think I sideways every time coming out the chicane, and they're so fun to drive. I really enjoy them.
And what would you say to any budding sim racers out there that fancy having a shot at the legend? What would you tell them?
Definitely do it. Learns you a lot about car control and stuff like that. It's just mental.
And congratulations, you've had so many of these performances which have just about been there, but tonight you definitely sealed it. Andy, Alston and myself both thinking you're the Reese Motorsport Insurance driver of the day, buddy, so congratulations.
Thank you.
No problem, Junior. We'll let you disappear, and who will we? Well, we need to get the champion in, I suppose, Andy. Let's bring Fraser Williamson in, and we can both have a shot at him, if you know what I mean. Fraser, congratulations, 2021/2022 Winter Cup champion. You came, you saw, you've conquered, you've done it all, mate. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, now looking back, that one MX5 reverse grid race kind of spoils the list of results from it, because otherwise it'd been clean super podiums. But yeah, it's good, and it's just nice to gain some confidence around Knockhill, really.
And Fraser, that's an interesting point, because of course you are going from virtual to reality and competing in the SMRC for real this year. Tell us a little bit about how those plans are going and what your kind of approach has been to that, because it's not long to go in the grand scheme of things.
It's not, and to be fair, they aren't all that far along. I'm now starting to rush and to put everything together for it. Because I kind of not forgot, but time passed between the end of the Autumn Cup and now incredibly quickly. So that's probably going to be the rush for the next while. Get myself sorted and ready and speak to as many guys as possible and to try and gain as much experience without actually driving before we do it for real.
So would you potentially be, have you got your ARDS licence in the bag now, or is it a case of just trying to get all the bits and pieces required together to get you out there on track?
Well, not from scratch, but yeah, we're starting from a low base, let's put it that way.
But Fraser, part of me says, and Duncan, I'd be interested to get your thoughts here as well. You know, you speak to so many drivers starting out in motorsport, you can sometimes think it's just a case, I'll do this, I'll do that, and everything will be plain sailing. But that's not always the case sometimes, and it can just be a case of just doing what you can, and then it's all about just getting behind the wheel and going out there and doing your best.
Yeah, there's one thing to talk about it and to think about it, but it's another thing to do it, which is, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I can't wait to see you on the real track. I really can't wait to see what you can do, because in the sim world, you are the man. best of luck with whatever happens. I'm sure I'll see you at Knockhill when you come for your ards. And well done on winning the championship. Provisional champion for the Winter Cup and everything else you've really done. Fraser Williamson, congratulations. Fraser, we'll catch up with you later on. Thank you very much. Been great watching you all year. You have been a sensation there. So I think I was maybe muted. Let's get Scott Smith in. I've been wanting to have a quick word with Scott Smith. I meant to catch up with him today, but he wasn't there. He's just sent me a little message saying he's disappointed. The bottom lip's out, Scotty boy. What's wrong?
How's it going, guys? Just a disappointing round from me. A poor performance. I wanted to do better, and I had my set sight on beating Jack, mate, in the championship, and this was a do or die round. And kudos to Jack. He just outdrove me, and he's obviously taking third in that championship. So well done, Jack.
You had a lot happening around you tonight. Talk us about some of the moments. What happened in race number 1? We saw you. I think was it the chicane tyre wall you were up against hard in lap 1.
Yeah, I think there was a car went off in the front pack, and obviously everybody kind of slowed up, got a bit loose coming through the chicane, and the car behind me just never slowed up enough and tagged the back of my car and just turned me around. So it was a fight from the back at that point. So it was just a recovery drive. And
you better get used to that, pal. Trust me, because you're going to be driving these cars for real this coming season. Are you excited about that?
I am, and I hope my performance are better in them than it is in these.
Well, we'll see. No pressure, mate, but I think you've done really great in all the championships. It's great having you about, Scotty. So best of luck, and I shall see you on Friday, I think.
Yeah, they're good fun. I look forward to them. So kudos to SMRC, and thanks to Sim Broadcasters for putting it on, and you guys for obviously sitting there and chatting about us while it's happening. So thank you, guys. Thank you, team.
Scotty, we've got the easy job. We really have. So on you go. We'll let you head off and go back to your vegan protein shake that you're going to have for your tea tonight. And I look forward to you'll need it after that. We'll look forward to catching up. We're going to get Michael McPherson in now. So we'll get the other side of the John Higgins coming together story. We Super Mac from up north. You had some sort of internet flashing issues going on there. You kept on disappearing from our screen a few times, and you were attacked a couple of times at the hairpin there. But ultimately, you're still showing us that you're really, really fast in this sim racing.
I know I'm not sure what happened there, but
it's so fun.
That dodgy northern Wi-Fi. But no, it was good fun. I only decided a couple of minutes before Collie started to do it. Not had much time to sit on the simulator, so yeah, I thought I'd give it a crack and have some fun. But yeah, it was good, a good laugh.
Michael, we certainly put on a show there for us, lots of drama throughout. And tell us a little bit about behind the wheel of these Legends cars. One thing we did notice was it perhaps took a lap or two for the cars to get up into temperature, because we saw a number of drivers just lighting up the rear wheels and the car getting very, very loose at a number of points throughout the track. So it's all about just getting the first couple of laps under your belt and then building from that point.
I think you've said it exactly. Ironically, I actually preferred the car at the start of the race. That's when I felt a bit more racy. I feel like even in the TCR or any of the other cars we've been in, that's going to be my strongest point. Is driving the car on cold tires. But yeah, it's a car like no other really, or no other that I've driven at least. And yeah, there's very, very little grip. Really, really light. Especially somewhere around Knockhill, where there's not much of the track's flat, so the car is constantly moving underneath you. So yeah, difficult car to drive, as Duncan will tell us.
Oh, I struggle with them in a straight line, never mind corners, pal. That's my biggest issue. But no, I do like the colour scheme you picked up. It was nice and easy for us to see, and as ever, you give us some great action on track. So try and get a bit of practice in next time, rather than leaving it just before qualifying to decide to take part. And we look forward to seeing you when SMRC do more stuff through the course of the year, Michael. Okay. Thank
you very much, Duncan.
Cheers, pal. We'll catch up with you later on. We'll get back to Flymo in a minute. I think we need to get Super Mac in. That's Robert McGregor. Mr. Action himself. He had the elbows out in race number 1 on the outlap, never mind any of the racing laps. So Robert McGregor comes into the room sporting a U Pull-It paint scheme like that with a picture of John Higgins on the boot lid. Really means you're up for it. And you had a great meeting. It was the typical Robert McGregor thing. It was crash bang wallet, but there was great speed shown there as well, mate.
Yeah, I can't complain again. Legend's not my favourite car.
I'll put it that way.
Really?
Yeah, as you could you believe that? I don't like the legend. No, I couldn't find any consistency, and then when I tried to, one lap would be 0.5 quicker than the next lap, so it was just touch and go. I mean, I was right in the mix of things, especially in that last race, and then I just let it go all to pot. I can't blame anyone but myself for that. I was just rubbish, and I can't blame anyone else. So.
I'm trying not to laugh at that statement. I love your completely honest look at it, but it did look like you maybe tried to defend some Scott Smith who was coming up the inside you, but it was just a little bit too late and a bit of contact. Was that the plan, or was it just one of these things?
I just went for the Max Verstappen cut-off move. Didn't pull out and just got flung into the distance. But these things happen. I had a good race. Well, not the last one, but I had a good couple of races. Fair play to Scott. Yes.
Yeah.
Fair play to Scott, though. Forgive me, I raced in the second race. He was all over me. And it was tight. It was really tight. Obviously, my teammate as well. Give him a mention. Junior.
I think you've got to. He put on a good performance, and he passed you nice and cleanly as well, didn't he?
I let him pass. There was a bit of team chat going on. I was like,
we're just watching your incident on screen here with Scott Smith, and I got to say, Robert, you're such a breath of fresh air in the commentary box. You come in, you're great fun.
You don't know what to expect.
Well, the human swear jar has been very, very well behaved, so thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you back, mate, yeah?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And thanks for the guys that have done all this, made this possible, yourself and Andy and Peter and the boys at the Sun Broadcasting. Yeah. So that's
It sounds like you're welling up, actually. You know that. Don't go giving me tears here, please.
Might be my last one, mate.
It might be my last one after this performance as well. So we'll let you head off. We'll catch up with you later on. Thank you, Robert. Cheers, mate. There's Super Mac. We'll pack him on his way. Okay, we've got two left. We've got two Rethink Racing drivers, Andy. What do you fancy, Air or Flymo?
Why not bring them both in? Why not bring them both?
Can we bring them both? Can we do that?
Why not?
Can we do that? Oh wow! Well, this is new. I feel a bit we're getting ganged up on here. So, Rethink Racing drivers both in the commentary box here. A little bit of virtualness here. Jack Air, first of all, cracking stuff. Until the last couple of moments of that last race, what happened going through the chicane? It just looked like the car got loose from underneath you, but it started almost at the exit of McIntyre's.
Well, just like you said, it's cracking stuff. I cracked, literally. Just got loose, and then the rears didn't seem to recover. And I don't know, there's one line through that chicane, and it seems as though if you're a foot either side of that, you're going to get spat out in either direction. So it's like damage control. I knew going in there, I'd already lifted, trying to recover, but just I did my best to make sure that I didn't win. So just one of them things. And to be fair, I'm not even mad. I couldn't really gotten beaten by a quicker guy. And I think there's a reason that Fraser's got 8,000 iRating and I've got about 12.
you still sound like a movie star in my ears with that microphone. It's really, really impressive stuff. Michael Weddle's here as well. Flymo, do you want to discuss your evening? It kind of went wrong lap 2, turn 1, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you'll find it got wrong in qualifying. I'm hoping you didn't see any of their laps. I binned it like twice in qualifying. I was proper Flymo on it today.
Everybody was off in qualifying, Andy, weren't they? Or the practice was like that.
It was certainly dramatic, at least, yeah. Lots of drama in these cars. But that's the thing with these cars as well, isn't it? They're very, very lively, particularly when they're getting on temperature. And what we saw in the opening lap across all three is a case of just getting the car around the track and really building on it from there. They're great fun to drive, but they're very unforgiving as well.
Yeah, I mean, once the tyres get up to temperature, you've maybe got like a 5-lap window where it's fine, and then after that 5 laps, the rear start to overheat. So I have no idea how you drive this thing, Duncan. So kudos to you.
Yeah, skill and good looks, mate, you know?
Maybe the skill bit, but definitely not the good looks bit.
Well, I think the same about a Mini when I tried to drive the Mini. I didn't do too well in that. But, Michael, you're the guy that we need to speak about. Where do we go from here? What did the SMRC do now? We've had such a great year, and this winter series, it was put together so late by you because Knockhill arrived. Where do we go? What do we get next?
I think we've got to go back into maybe an 8-round championship thing across the year. Maybe not as extreme as what we did last year with 19 rounds or whatever that was. That was a long slog, but I think we maybe mix up a little bit, do 8 rounds again, maybe 6. And not sure on the class yet. Definitely not the legends. But yeah, we'll just put a wee survey out to the people. Everyone's free to join our Discord channel. You'll get the links on the SMRC website.
And what I need to ask is both, Jack here, who has been your favourite person to race all year in all the championships, all the cups? Who's the best?
I gotta say, it's Mr. Flymo, purely because I've spent the most time around him. Not been quick enough to get near Fraser, but but yeah, it's Mikey, purely because we seem to be very close together in practice. All the stuff we do to approach these races, because the majority of the running that we do is side by side, just to make sure that we're confident and comfortable racing when we actually do get into the race. It's not necessarily like hot lapping and getting comfortable with the car and track. It's finding all these different places where you can overtake and where to defend and things like that. So the amount of hours that me and Mikey have spent over the last couple of years side by side in practice just to make it possible for the race, it's got to be Flymo. And
we've got to ask Michael the same question to yourself.
I mean, it's a bit rude if I don't say Jack now, isn't it?
Well, I'm thinking that, but, I would kind of like it to say somebody else.
Well, of course I'm going to say Jack as well because of the close racing that we do have, because we do that much practice. But I think being able to race the likes of Fraser and Gordy, especially in the last round, don't really get that
I was there
in any other leagues.
for 2 laps.
Yeah, you've got low I rate, you don't count. But but it's just being able to try and get some big names in the sim world to race in these series. It makes a big difference just to see them because they're on another level. So racing against them is always great fun. So.
We've had a lovely loving in the commentary box towards the end of the championship. Then thank you very much. I expected you to see Gordy much or Fraser Williamson, but it's nice that you guys do enjoy racing against each other, because 9 times out of 10, your teammate Jack is the first man you want to beat, but your teammate is pretty quick.
Yeah, it's quite hard. But to be fair, regardless of the result, I'm enjoying myself every time. So yeah, I'm not complaining.
Movie star with those sounds, though, isn't he? Doesn't he sound good, Andy Alston?
Well, I have to agree. It's a good quality microphone is very important, isn't it? Yeah, it's very important. Aye, it's always a good thing to have. But no, it's been great action watching both you guys as well, and we'll be looking forward to seeing what lies ahead, and I'll be very interested to know what car we're looking at as well. I'm sure there's lots of potential contenders, and it'll be interesting to see what all the drivers think out there as well, because we've had so many cars throughout the 2021 championship and indeed our Winter Cup, all offering something different, and it'll be interesting to see what we go for this year.
Legend.
You never know. There might be a wee endurance race chucked in there, but you never know.
Well, that means you've got to hold it together for anything longer than 15 minutes, so that could be difficult. But guys, thank you very much, Mike, Flymo, Michael. We'll let you sign off by saying the final goodbye, because without you, this whole thing wouldn't happen. I have to say that you are one of the key men behind this. So we'll let you sign off and say goodbye to everybody, and then we'll remove you from our commentary box.
That's a bit of pressure here, but no, just a big thank you to Sim Broadcast, Peter and Mo. Do a lot of work behind the scenes, getting you guys looking, sounding so good on the air and giving us good footage. Of course, thank you to you, Duncan and Andy, for mediocre commentary, I would say. Could be improved slightly. I know, kidding. Cheers again to everyone. It's been a good series the past few years, the last year, but a good way to end it. And I would say well done to Fraser, but I don't like him for winning it all the time.
I don't blame you. Thank you very much, guys. We'll catch up later on. Michael Weddle and Jack Eyre now are evicted from our comedy box, as we could call it. And I think that's us. Andy, it's been a pleasure commentating. We're going to have a couple of weeks or months off. We don't actually know what's going to happen. But guys, thank you very much if you have been watching all the SMRC eSports stuff, powered by Reese Motorsport Insurance, presented by Sim Broadcast. Pete and Mo back at base. Mo, whose real name is Chris. There you go. Thank you very much, guys. Until next time, look after each other, take care, and come to Knockhill and see some racing. Bye-bye.